Hello, everyone. Welcome to the program. This is Thunder Politics live on Channels Television. I'm Sean Kimbalo in Abuja. Tonight, we will be having some frank conversations about governance, policy, and politics of Nigeria. It's over 2 weeks since there was a change in the leadership and governance in Anambra State, as we saw Professor Charles Soludo took over from Minister Willie Obiano, albeit with some dramatic incident which almost overshadowed the real essence of the importance of that event. On that day, promises were made, commitments were given, a new agenda citing perhaps a new expectations emerged in the minds of the people of the southeast state of Anambra. But how far with all the promises and the hopes that have been built? Today is almost 3 weeks or more that a new man in the saddle are taking over the helms of affairs. My first guest tonight on the program is being a governor before, but in Abuja, when he led the Central Bank of Nigeria, he served recently as one of the advisors to the president on the economy. He was elected last year as governor of Anambra State and took over from Willie Obiano. Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo joins me virtually from Anambra State. Thank you so much, Prof, for joining us tonight. Let me begin by asking you, you made big promises and you have big plans which you tie to the Soludo solutions. But with the resources you met on the ground, do you have now the wherewithal in government what it takes to execute those fantastic ideas that they have captured in the Soludo solutions agenda?
Let me say this. Thank you very much, and thank you for having me, Shem. And it's really a great pleasure. We were sworn in on the 17th of last month, and barely 2 weeks now on the saddle. Yes, we've had chance now to see what's on ground. I applied for this job. For better or for worse, we're going to try as much as we can, give it our all to deliver to the people of Anambra State. No excuses. The challenges are there, and the challenges were still going to be there. Nobody promised that it was going to be an easy ride, a walk in the park without challenges, and so on. And you may expect that the depth is maybe, you are climbing a hole, you are getting into a hole of 10 meters deep, but you may get there and it is 1,000 feet deep, but you still got to survive. And what I want to say, and I'm fairly confident, in spite of all the challenges, humongous as they are, and they will continue to be, and actually being complicated by the humongous security challenges now around the country and the southeast and Anambra. But we've got no excuses. We've got to mobilize our people, mobilize your resources that we can lay our hands on. There are all kinds of some creative financing options that we're going to explore. And the most critical resource that we have happens to be our people, the people of Nigeria, the people of Anambra, the Southeast, the diaspora capacity that we have, and the talent and skills embodied in this critical resource, and that is the people, the skills, the technology available as well. We're going to knock on every door and leverage every possible instrument that we can lay hand on to build this livable and prosperous homeland. So yes, you're right. The challenges are there, but we are undaunted by them. We shall overcome. I'm fairly confident about that. That the Soludo solution agenda will be on course, and we've already hit the ground running. In 2 weeks, what we've been able to even do, especially get cracking on the number one existential threat. The number one existential threat today in Nigeria is security. The issue of law and order, the total breakdown of law and order nationwide, and the Southeast in particular. We've got cracking on that. And we've had several engagements, so we're going to engage like no other time. We're going to engage differently and very seriously. We're going to engage all the stakeholders, the good, the bad, the ugly, in this. I've been educated that the law enforcement officers deal with the kinetic part of it, which is the force. But you need even more than force now to be able to deal with the problems. Engagement is critical, and we've already got started very strongly. We've announced the end of the sit at home, and our people, the leadership of the Southeast traditional rulers and bishops, archbishops, and the entire clergy are with us on this. IPOB is with us on this. And we are moving forward on this. Tomorrow there will be statewide and even Southeast regional prayer sessions in all churches and everywhere. And that will officially mark the end of the sit-at-home agenda. Of course, the criminals are going to resist, try to play hanky-panky here and there, but I mean, we keep prodding on. There is no surrender, no leave, no surrender. We must get
I think
quiet.
If I may cut in quickly, Prof, on the whether or not some criminal elements might want to take advantage and dare government, and your stance on this issue of sit at home and all of that, because we're getting report that ESN or the IPOB or what they call the Simon Ekpa boys stormed the Oko drive around Ekula of their axis, shooting sporadically. What looks like daring your stance on this issue when you met the traditional rulers on IPOB. I'd like to get your reaction to that and perhaps your next move on what has become a daring game from these elements.
Well, nobody says, again, that it's going to be a walk in the park. You know, things have gone bad so badly. And there are now criminal elements that profit from the current order of things. Don't expect that they will come clapping, because getting law and order, getting the place steady, you will actually be taking them off their major sources of livelihood, and which is criminality. They are kidnapping, snatching cars, and banditry, and looting and stealing, and so on and so forth. And they've become very comfortable with this, as it were. And that's their source of life, that's their livelihood, as it were. There's huge criminal element to it. You don't expect they're going to walk away without a fight. Nobody is naive to think that way. They will want to test the will. They will want to try and put the fear of God in everybody by doing that. Today, this afternoon, they got to Oko, they wanted to attack the police station there. But of course, they were massively repelled, and in their exit, of course, even one of their vehicles immobilized, and some of them with gunshots, wounds, running, and we are tracking them. It's a battle that isn't going to go away in one day, or even in 1 week, or in 1 month. But we're determined, and with a game plan to engage. And I'm happy that at least the vast majority of the civil society, the population, is with us on this. That we got to bring an end to this madness that is enveloped the land. Without it, nothing else can happen.
I was going to ask what you have personally discovered, or what your government have been able to decipher as far as the insecurity situation is concerned. But let me ask, because there are being insinuations that some of these activities have political undertone. Do you still hold that view?
Before the election, there were quite a bit of it, because some political parties thought that by, stoking up that area and having the election not to hold or sit at home on the day of the election, that will give them impetus to be able to write the results and so on. But that's now over. There is a criminal part of it. And there is also the presumption, the allegations of IPOB and all of that. But IPOB has come out and emphatically stated, and I believe them, that they are no longer part of this criminal gang, as it were. And they are now working with us and we'll probably see their own actions in the next few days, and the people are waiting to see what they can or cannot do to join us. And we called on them on the day of our inauguration that if you are not part of this, come out and join us to build a livable and prosperous homeland. So I see, parts of this. Of course, within the agitation movement, we have to agree that there are now factions. There are various factions. There is one led by one guy in Finland called Simon Epa or something. And his own group, IPOB, has come out and pointedly accused that group of being the ones behind much of the criminality taking place now in the Southeast. So it's a very huge positive development. A lot of them in the bush out there, they're having camps here and there. They come out from there to kidnap and kill and so on. So once we isolate all the groups that are not involved in this element, then we can then focus on the criminal. We have also offered them some kind of amnesty. Come out, give us your guns. We're prepared to give you training, train you in whatever skill, even if we have to raise resources, whatever, to empower you to become useful partners in development of our society, to rehabilitate them back and to play a useful part in society. We are offering that as well.
Okay.
And yesterday,
all right.
also,
so as a follow-up, Governor, is on one hand, this entity has been prescribed by the federal government, and I'd like to know that for good, sit-at-home idea is gone and dead, is it?
Yes. It's good that you talked about prescription and non-prescription. There is the factor and the jaw. You can prescribe anyone and then say you have, but what is on ground? It's a very well-organized group with capacities in many ways. And the time comes when you realize that it's not everything. You can't shoot an idea with a gun. You can't shoot an ideology with a gun. And so when you see it exclusively as a law enforcement matter, then you miss the point. We got to engage them. We got to engage everyone to really understand the roots of this. And that's why we're setting up also a Truth and Reconciliation Commission, which will be announcing the membership tomorrow. And we need to get to the root and the remote and immediate causes of this, incessant unrest, agitations, insecurity. The agitations that now dovetailed into an existential threat to the entire homeland of the Southeast. And so they remain potent, they remain out there, aggressively everywhere. And others sit at home for over a year now, and that has been obeyed. And you say you prescribe them, but they still affect the way ordinary people live in society. So at some point, you got to say, hey, wait a minute, what's going on? You got to engage, like I said, differently and seriously. And the Truth and Reconciliation Commission will get to the root of this matter, where the remote, the immediate, and then also be able to document as well the people who have died in this senseless, madness that has taken place over the last few years, and the circumstances of their death, especially the innocent ones. 100 and something policemen have died, I understand, over the course of the last few years, and other security forces, soldiers, and civil defense, and so on and so forth, Navy, in this cause. Then I wouldn't even know how many of the youths of the Southeast, majority of whom innocent, have also died in the process. You now see hoodlums, come out and just shoot at somebody, and the person dies. We don't want to treat all these people, whether they are the police or this, as just statistics. Somebody, 2 persons killed there, and it's just statistics. We need to document this and understand the circumstances of their death. And so we will be able to put together the roadmap with full knowledge of where we're coming from, where we are, and where we need to go. And also, perhaps that could also form the fulcrum of engagement at the national level. Because the insecurity in Nigeria today calls for a sit-down, serious interrogation as to where we are coming from and where we need to go. Is the number one existential threat to the country today. Everywhere. Pervasive. You hear about the whole airport, an international airport, being taken by bandits for some time, minutes or hours, I don't know. Train movement being blown up. And everywhere, this is something that we need to engage very, very seriously. And so we are taking it very seriously and in an open manner to engage everyone and believing that everyone has some contribution to make. So the criminals, we're even offering them an olive branch to repent, come out. In today's reading, the church were treated to John 8, verses 1 to 11, where Jesus actually said to the sinner, I don't condemn you, and sin no more, but sin no more. So to them, we're also saying we're not condemning you. Sin no more. Come out today. Surrender those arms, and we want to engage you back in the society. But we are interrogating this at a very, very serious level because, like I said, it's existential. Our agenda on economic transformation, on getting the social agenda, on the environment, on governance, and so on and so forth, will not be firm unless we can deal with the existential threat, which is the issue of law.
Let me come in quickly, Prof. You were reported to have said that Nnamdi Kanu should be tried expeditiously according to the law and be convicted or freed instead of being kept under indefinite detention. What exactly do you mean by that statement?
Let me be clear. You like it, you don't like it, you may want to hear it or not hear it. You see, I'm not a regular politician who speaks from four sides of the mouth. I say it as it is. My understanding of the situation in the Southeast is that every major organized group needs to be part of the conversation. Every organized major group needs to be part of the conversation. Why did we start the sit at home? That the children of the Southeast have to go to school 4 days in a week instead of 5. How did we start sit at home? That the artisans, the woman in the selling pepper out there, those who depend on daily toil and sweat to have a living, can no longer do that on Monday, and businesses are closing and so on and so forth. It's because of Nnamdi Kanu. No matter how you want to wish it away or whatever, it's essentially because of Nnamdi Kanu. So he is a factor. No one can deny that. He is a factor, if anyone wants to be realistic. And therefore, in the conversation about peace and stability in the Southeast, if you discountenance that factor and wish it away, then the person must be living in the moon. Must be living in the moon. It has become a factor. And therefore, as part of that process of getting down to the fundamental long-term discussion on this matter, we need to get that matter over with. What started the sit at home is because Nnamdi Kanu was arrested. And what are his supporters, what were they saying? They were saying that they will keep this Monday sit at home until he is released. We're only arguing and having a counter narrative to say, listen, gentlemen, doesn't make sense to now, someone annoys you somewhere else and you then go and lock up your entire family and say they should not eat, they should starve to death, and children shouldn't go to school, and so on and so forth. And I think they have bought that argument. And so for us, as part of that total resolution of the matter, get him to the courts, press the charges, and he will be defended. This is Nigeria, rule of law. The courts will take their course expeditiously, and let us see where it gets to. But I'm one of those who believe that some of these matters are things that we need to. I haven't seen what the criminal charges are, because we need to know. The public deserves to know, and everyone needs to know what is he being charged for, and then let the courts take their processes and so on. And it's just common sense. That they say justice denied, justice delayed is justice denied. It's not just because it's Nnamdi Kanu or anyone, but it's become part of the conversation.
But I think it's public knowledge that it was being charged for terrorism. It's facing terrorism charge. Isn't that clearly stated in the court right now?
No, let's go to court, and that's why I say expeditiously. Let him have his day in court. But all these long adjournments and so on, there are some of these sessions that have implications for national security that you should try out and bring closure to it. Because the longer that it lingers without bringing closure to it, the longer you keep the system in suspense. That's the point. I haven't said that if it's...
Let me take you to... Yeah. Yes. Prof, let me take you to the area of some of the aspects of your Soludo solution. Part of it is how you're going to creatively generate revenue for the state. I understand that the state is planning about 50 billion or so to increase IGR. Onitsha is one hub in the state that is a major commercial hub. I understand that you're making efforts in changing how things look generally. Can you give us an idea of that environmental aspect of your intervention, or your government's intervention in Onitsha and its environment, and how that can bring more money to the coffers of government and make the life of the people of Anambra State better?
Yeah, thank you, Shane. The two things are linked, but also separate issues. In my agenda, you can put them in four big buckets. We have the economic agenda, we have the social agenda, we have the governance, rule of law, and values, and the third is environment. And under that environment, we say it is towards a clean, green, and planned cities, markets, and communities. So the last plank of it, which is towards a clean, green, planned cities, markets, and the environment, and communities, is really where the cleaning up exercise comes. The rule of law component comes from the other. And of course, to have all of this to work, you need a financing plan. So, but now take the issue of cleaning up of Onitsha. It's not just cleaning up of Onitsha, it's cleaning up of the entire state, keeping the state clean and green and in a planned manner. I mean, some of the pictures you are showing yesterday, I was at Onitsha to launch up this where you just showed. It's a roundabout where that's it afterwards. That's what you just showed. Before, nobody could pass through this road. The entire roads were completely filled up with waste and so on. And so that's a new thing. We're cleaning up, we're opening up the streets again, and then putting the receptacles. People cannot exist in this kind of environment. That's not the Onitsha that was the biggest market in West Africa. It cannot operate this way. So we got to clean the place, clean up. We are starting with 4 local governments. That happens to be the Greater Onitsha Metropolis. Onitsha North, Onitsha South, Idemili North, and Obaru local government. That's where I went to Okpoko as well. I was at Okpoko and so on yesterday before the Security Summit, as it were. Today, again, we are pounding the streets. Tomorrow, we'll continue. Even for the next couple of weeks and months, we want to clean up the entire state, open up the drains, and so on. Now, in Onitsha, several people have blocked the drains to the River Niger. We've marked about over 200 buildings that will have to give way, because every day, every year, during the rainy season, thousands of people die, taken out by flood. The whole streets everywhere.
Are you planning compensation for them, Prof? Are you planning compensation for those hundreds of buildings that might give way?
Well, we need to see who who authorized somebody to go and build on a drainage well, and who get all those. If somebody has those and so on, and who gave the approval for somebody to go and block the drainage well that was actually dug and it was operating before. Clearly, drainage into what is called the Sakamori drainage. And all of a sudden, people begin to encroach and build across the entire thing. So the first thing is again the rule of law question. And people get onto all kinds of impunities. And you go and block off. It's like the old Abuja before the El Rufai effect, when people built on the drainages and sewage lines and on the parks and so on and so forth. We'll get to those and then examine those. But clearly, from what we can see, this is all parts of the impunities that go. And the entire society is in peril by that. We're determined to clean up the place and turn it back to be a livable and prosperous city that it has always been.
Prof, let me get your quick reaction, since part of the leg of your Soludo solution is the issue of the rule of law. And I'd like to hear from you tonight on the arrest of your predecessor by the EFCC. What the EFCC said, the reason they gave for the arrest was that there was an alleged misappropriation of public funds, including 5 billion naira Shuopi fund and 37 billion security vote, which was withdrawn in cash. And part of the funds, according to the EFCC, were also alleged to have been diverted to finance political activities in the state. Let me get your reaction on that.
Well, you talk about the rule of law and all that. Fair enough, and I'm sure without holding brief for him, I'm sure the governor will give adequate account of the questions that have been asked. And the case may be, talk about security vote and all of those and so on. I mean, the onus will be for them to be able to get the facts out. I do know that at some point, Anambra State was reputed to be the safest state in Nigeria, and it probably didn't come cheap. And but again, he deserves his day to be treated, to be presumed innocent until proven guilty. What I found a little bit objectionable was the humiliating way he was being treated. If you are arresting someone and the way that they had to video him in his private moment and start circulating that, I mean, rule of law does not include humiliating the accused, because don't forget, he is still accused until proven guilty, so to speak. So he will have his day and respond to them appropriately, and I expect him to be able to do so. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Prof. I guess we'll still have some more time at some point to speak with you on your solution, Soludo solution. It's just less than 3 weeks since you got into office, and we wish you the very best in office. Professor Chukwuma Soludo, the Executive Governor of Anambra State, thank you so much indeed for your time tonight.
Thank you very much. And well, it's really a great pleasure. I didn't even realize a few minutes have gone. Thank you. It's a great pleasure.
Thank you, Prof. I appreciate it.